Hi there, my name is Nabil and I want to make a game. Simple, right? I mean, I've made a game before. It's a total bestseller, so why not do it again? But this time, let's try to get it on Steam. So I want to make a game. It's gonna be a samurai melee combat game where the player dies in one hit. I'm not gonna show much of it yet, mostly because it's ugly as Instead, I want to talk game design. More specifically, I want to figure out what are the game design pillars of my game. If you're unfamiliar with the term, game pillars are the core concepts that your game should follow at all times. If you come up with a new idea during development, check the pillars. If it doesn't fit, just move on. For the last couple of months, I've been doing some research to see what's out there to help me figure out what those pillars are. And I found some crazy good stuff, so let's look at 5 merciless games that don't hesitate to kill you in one hit and see what we can learn from it. First on the list is Hotline Miami. Honestly, every Google search pointed me towards it. When I first looked at it, it didn't seem like much. I mean, shoot, punch, shoot, right? Boy, was I wrong. Hotline Miami is probably one of the staple of the top-down combat genre nowadays. It's slick, fast, gory, and plain fun. You've got twin stick controls that work really well, and I'm definitely taking some of that. What I didn't expect was that beyond the fun, there's a storyline that's really unsettling. It's bizarre and wonderful and reminds me of the best Nicholas Winding Refn movies. I want some of that, definitely. There's some part of it that I don't want to replicate though. You play a Hotline Miami level, it sometimes feels like you're learning the level layout to find the optimal path, which means that after a couple of retries you don't really think anymore, you just do. I'm not sure I want that predictability in my own game. In a similar vein, Bloodroots plays very similarly. Mood-wise, it was great. It felt like a spaghetti western movie with a heavy dose of absurd. The idea behind it is the same as for Hotline. As you go, you pick up weapons because they run out fast. That's a great concept. You end up always looking for your next weapon, using your environment, learning the level layout and finding the best way through. Hotline Miami had the same idea, with ammo running out. But see, I'm not sure I want to implement that similar mechanic in my game. Samurais have almost a religious relationships to their weapon, and that would just not match the theme if you could just drop it off and move on. Contrary to Hotline, which was full top-down, the 3D perspective really didn't work for me in Bloodroots. I kept ending up in situations where I wasn't sure about my positioning, where the character actually was, and I ended up dying because of that, which was really frustrating. With Hotline, I felt like I was in full control. In Bloodroots, not so much. Let's stick to full 2D for my game. Disc Room. It's probably the odd one out in this list. It's not really a combat game, but I think it's essential when you're designing, when you're thinking, to draw inspiration from different genres and different gameplays to mix it up a bit. And Disc Room was great to get my design brain running. See, you can't actually attack in Disc Room. It's arcade bullet hell where your main interaction is dodging. Heavy physics involved with a lot of random aspects due to that. You soon realize the game is all about player positioning, where you enter a flow state, almost meditative, as you nearly avoid death again and again. I really like that. Also, the devs hid secrets and puzzles in the game to add variation and break from the main gameplay loop. That's not a bad idea either, but I'm not sure it worked out in my game. If I have a Hotline-like story, it might not be necessary, but we'll see. There's actually a game that's already done my super unique idea of making a samurai one-hit top-down game. The Path to Die feels a lot like Hotline Miami, and for good reason. I mean, Hotline is still the highlight of this list so far. You've got a story, a great Japanese aesthetic, and a unique twin-stick combat system. The main selling point of the game though is how you attack and control your characters. The right stick is used to make you feel like you're holding the sword and have to swing the stick in various directions to make specific attacks. That's a really cool idea, I'm not gonna lie. The problem is, it's not perfectly accurate. That's a problem when it's so easy for the player to die. It really doesn't feel good to die just because your semicircle move wasn't registered properly and ended up in a stab. So let's learn from that. Let's skip combat and inputs slick and efficient. Next up, Ape Out. This game is absolutely glorious. Not gonna hide it, it's my favorite game on this list. When I played Ape Out, I was like, oh yeah, that's the good stuff. So let's see what we can learn from it. First, the art style. It's clean, simple, abstract. I really love that. Let's keep that. Then the soundtrack. Each time you kill an enemy, there's a clash of cymbals. When you kill many in a row, the music reacts. That's glorious. It feels like a jazz band is commenting on your performance. It really tinkles my musician brain. I'm definitely taking some of that. Lastly, the level design. The levels each have a story to tell, but they're also procedural, which means you can't plan fully in advance. In Online, you learn the layout of the level. In Ape Out, you live through it every time. I might be overscoping at this point, but I'm logging it for now. There's one thing about Ape Out that I'm not sure I want in my game, is that the main aim of the game is actually to escape, which means that you could just dodge all the enemies and encounters without really having to interact with them. It makes sense because you want to flow and escape the level, but I don't feel like a samurai would do that, so we'll see. Okay, let's recap what we have collected so far. That's not bad. That's great actually, I've got a better idea of what I want from the game. But these aren't really game pillars. These are IDs, a bunch of unrelated stuff that might or might not make it in the game. What if after testing some of them just don't work out? So to keep it more abstract and favor an iterative design approach, let's boil it down to the essentials. First, I want a combat that's punishing and tactical. Like Hotline, it'll be brutal, you will die fast, and the enemies are not pawn you can just trifle with. But unlike Miami, I don't want it to be fully reaction based. I want every encounter to make you think, at least a little, even if you've done it before. Like Spelunky, you can't learn the layout to improve, you have to learn the underlying systems. Second, I want the game to be replayable. That seems essential for an indie game developed by a team of yours truly. I need the content itself to generate its own playtime. This means I need some form of procedural generation in the game. Lastly, I want to focus on the mood rather than realism. I want the story to feel like you're playing an old Japanese tale. I want the sounds and music to work towards that, the landscape being hinted at with wind and particle effects rather than being fully drawn. I think that's my time. If you enjoyed this video— bonus round! I've just found out about this super cool little gem and I just had to talk about it. Akane is a top-down cyber samurai game where you clear waves upon waves of enemies with your katana and gun. The combat's flow is so insanely satisfying, and the progression is really well done. You have to manage your stamina meter by alternating between slash and gunplay, which I found really intuitive and damn right cool. The waves are paced with bosses that spice up the challenge quite well. It's far from the spirit I want for my own game, but there's definitely something to learn from the flow of the sword play. And I'm thinking of making a similar wave clearing mode as a demo to both test out mechanics, but also give a taste of what the game could be like. That's all for now. I'll be posting more devlogs about the progress on my game in the next few months. For now, it's codenamed Tsujigiri, and if you want to follow along as I make my first commercial Steam release from start to finish, please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.